Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What do we got going today? Oh, I saw a great story to start off the webinar. Just a great story trying to explain the delivery of COMEX silver and LBMA, gold and silver situation. So in other words, the London, was it the LBMA and CME and NYMEX and COMEX? Oh, it was chaotic. It was just totally chaotic. Over 50% of deliverable gold is not there. It's owned by private, not part of the exchange. So in other words, you might be Citibank or something like that, and you have it stored there. And so they've been trying to hide that there's even less gold in the vaults at the exchange than ever before. So maybe we'll get into that story. Just thought I'd just throw that out at you. It's a let's see if we can. I can throw that up on the screen somewhere. Oh, and let me get the chat going too. Let's see what's going on there. Yeah, it was a really enlightening, a really interesting story this morning. I was reading about it. It's over on Zero Hedge. It's called COMEX Delivery Silver Far Less Than Imagined, as 50% of eligible is not available. That was the title. So COMEX deliverable silver far less than imagined. Can you imagine that? As 50% of eligible is not available either. So as much as they have, excuse me, they have X amount sitting there, it's not deliverable. So maybe we'll go into that story. We'll see if anybody cares. If not, we'll just keep on rolling along as usual. We start off with the dollar index. You can see it up on J4X there, right there. That's it right there. See the little arrow jumping around, and you can see it's trading at 110.26, now 28, now 27, 29, 27, back and forth, 28, 26. So there's the action. You can see it's giving us a big red right there. Dollar's trying to drop down. Over here on Chicago Quant, you see the same thing going on. There's the dollar index. It's been dropping down for a couple of days now. You can see today is a big day. It's really dropping there. And putting some real push in. You can see the weekly is now cleanly. Let's put the little cute circle around it. The weekly is cleanly down below. So all you out there that said, I want to try to sell when can I sell the dollar? Guess what? It's coming. It's here. It's telling you. It's been in the daily sell since here. But now we're piercing the weekly. Any strength probably wants to be sold. Doesn't want to be sold, but it's going to be sold. That's what it comes down to. Any strength now I start to see, and they try to get into a daily buy for a day or two, and then they slide right back into that daily sell. Oh, yeah, you got to take those daily sells. Bang. Thank you. So here it is, Wednesday, as I take a sip of my tea. Here it is, Wednesday, and they are cleanly pushing this thing down, down, down. Right there. Down, down, down. There it is right there. The pressure is on. All right. From there, we jump over to, what do we got to say about that? I guess that's probably going to be like the headline today, too, on this particular webinar. I guess we could say is that, especially with the dollar index playing underneath the weekly sell, it stays there like that. It's definitely going to be climbing into the sell with no problem. Daily sells are going to be things you want to take, and as long as it stays underneath these weeklies, and it's finally appeared, I guess you could say. A lot of people said, when can I sell the dollar? It was like at 99. Can I sell the dollar here at 99? And then it went to 103. Can I sell the dollar here? Can I sell the dollar at 105? It's like, no, we're in a weekly buy. And surprise, there it is. All right. From there, we drift over to, let's take a look at the euro. See what the euro is up to this morning. Which mouse is that? That mouse is right there. So we'll probably save that story for tomorrow. the gold delivery situation. But definitely today is the day to say, guess what? The dollar's topping out. Looks like the elections are going to be exactly the way we've talked about for 6 whole months. Oh my God! I've never seen an election so intense. Probably the lackadaisicalness of the President of the United States. Mr. Biden has been just one mistake after another. He does. He just says things that are not true. It's like, oh well, we passed it in Congress by 3 votes. It's like it didn't even go to Congress for a vote. He says all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So that's a deal. That's what we got to deal with here every day. And I guess that's why the markets for 6 months now have been like begging, like, please somebody remove this man from power. And there it is right there. You can see the euro. There's the euro, and that's a weekly too. Let's get that in there, daily there. You see that? It's been lifting up the euro. It's been showing some good strength. Let's see how it looks over here on Chicago Quant. It shows kind of the same game. 4 days now in a buy. 4 days, and the weekly is doing the same thing. It is ripping. It's been through. Let's see, we can move that right to there. We got that same game going on in the euro. So, let's fix that. There we go. Euro is trying to get into a weekly buy, which is really cool. It's doing a fine job. It doesn't look like there's going to be any problems. And so we're going to finally see after 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 full weeks. That's it. Looks like you can call that done. It's baked. So we're going to see a little strength come into the euro. You can see it's playing with the par. How many years have I had people say to me, when will it go underneath par? When will it go underneath par? It's like, well, when it's in a weekly sell and a daily sell, it'll probably go underneath par. That's what happens. And in this case here, it's finally, let's scrunch this up a little bit more. But, it's been playing underneath the century mark. You can see that on the screen there. Matter of fact, maybe we'll just make it even bigger here for a second. You've been seeing here, it's been playing underneath the century mark now for, what is that, right there. Touched the century mark there back in July, this summer right now. Finally touched the century mark, made everybody excited, and they were, just yay, finally breaking the century mark. I don't know, these round numbers always are funny, Metho 2000. It sounds like one of those. They used to have this. I guess it was a spoof on movies, and they had these creatures, I guess you could call it, sitting in an audience, and they would make comments about movies. This is back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and I forget what they called it, but I remember when I was I'd been made vice president of the SPS, the Sigma Phi Sigma, the Society of Physics Students, the fraternity. When I was made vice president of that, they did these little charity things or tried to make money for the fraternity and so forth. And actually, it wasn't. It was very odd. It's a fraternity that is which back then had, females and males were allowed into that fraternity. So it was a society, but it was considered a Sigma Phi Sigma. They used Greek letters, and it was very hard to get a chapter. And we were like the second largest physics department. Anyway, end result is we used to run these movies back in the 70s, and then it was something called Theater 2000 or something like that. That's what every time I see Metho 2000, I think of that character sitting in the audience making jokes about a movie, and so one looked like a broomstick with a head on it, and another one was something else. It was kind of funny. I think it was something called Theater 2000. This is back in the 70s. So, when I see Metho 2000, I think of that movie theater thing and us doing those movies when we were in the physics department, that type of thing. But you can see here, round numbers kind of freak out products. People want round numbers. So for years now, people have been saying, when is the euro going to go to 100? When's it going to break 100? Well, it got down to 95. Not too bad. It took a massively powerful, corrupt U.S. government, and that's the only way to describe it, really. In other words, the President of the United States. Disneyland Disco 2000. No. It was something theater. It was something theater 2000. Let me see if I can find it. Because when you see it, you go, I remember seeing something about that. It was like these 2 or 3 characters sitting in an audience in the theater. And there was nobody else in the theater. And they were watching movies. And, it could be a good movie. It could be a bad movie. It was mostly sci-fi movies. And they would just make jokes about it. That's what they would do. They would make jokes about scenes in the movie live. So you had the movie playing, and then the camera was like behind them. So you could see them turning their heads, talking to each other, and you could hear them talking. And it was the funniest, weirdest thing. Theater 2000. Maybe that's what it was. Sci-fi theater. Maybe it was Sci-Fi Theater 2000. Sci-Fi Theater 2000. Let's see. And there it is. Okay, I found it. It's called Escape 2000. No, I got one. I see it. I got one. Let's see if how can I get this over to me? If I click it on like that, and then I think what I can do is I can transfer it over to somewhere else. Shout out factory. There it is. All right, perfect. All right, now let's see if I can get this up on the. If I go like that, copy, and then I go like that. We're going to put this up there. You're going to see what I'm talking about. This is back in the 70s. It was the weirdest thing. But it was funny. And, so then a lot of the science departments around the country started to, do the same thing. Started to, let's see, what's on your mind? All right, we're going to stick that in there. What the hell? Paste. And then let's see. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to open it up over here. Let's see where that pops up. So that pops up there. So we move that over. Right? Is that it? Yeah. Okay. And then I go like that. I got it. There it is, right there. I'm going to see if I can get that up on there. And you'll see this. And here we go.
There is a new world power.
Right there. And there it is on the screen. Is that it? Yeah. There we go. See the 3 characters? Like, that one's like a broomstick. I don't know. And they got a weird head on that, so that's not real. This one's obviously not real. And then there's a person in the middle. But they're all speaking. There are 3 people speaking, going back and forth. And when you play the film, people are like talking, they're saying stuff. It's really whack. It's really funny. I mean, it was. I found it relatively naive more than funny. But anyway, that's me. So that was. I think they called that. That's it. Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's what it was called. Let me bring that back to you. There it is, right there. There's the title. Mystery Science Theater 3000. And every time, right there, and every time I see Metho 2000, it hits me. Oh, was it longer than 6 seconds? I thought I just did a couple seconds. Are they going to torture us again, Giannis? Should we cancel me all together or what? Should we just shut me down for the day? What do you think the smart thing to do is? Yeah, it was called Mystery Science Theater 2000. and they would ramble about these crazy things. Oh yeah, it's gone. It's done. It's gone. I got it off. I got it all gone, and there's no sound. So yeah, it was called Science Mystery Theater 2000, and it's like the way the politics is in America right now. The dollar index. It's like a joke. It goes on day in and day out. You know, the Federal Reserve just plowing money in everywhere, and the Congress throwing money, trillions, almost $10 trillion over the last 2 years. $10 trillion in the last 2 years under Biden. Let's see, and continue with the charts. Okay. All right, so yeah, so it's like Mystery Theater 3000. It is the biggest, oddest joke America has ever seen in our history. I mean, we've seen weird things happen in this country, the Civil War and taxation and so forth, but never have we seen anything like this. And because of that, the dollar had to go to all-time highs. Not just all-time highs, but all-time highs. Okay? And finally, the euro broke the 1.00. It finally broke it. And that is exactly what it's been like. Been watching like the Mystery Theater 3000. It's a joke on top of a joke. Everybody sees it. And there's only 3 people in the audience, allegedly. But the whole country sees it. And for 6 months now, where are we at now? We're in October, right? So September, August, July, June, May, April, March. Ever since March, basically, it's 7 months ago. That's all they talk about every day on the financial network. That's all they talk about is the election and what can be done to stop this. And in mainstream media, you don't see that in Reuters, you don't see it in Bloomberg or CNBC or any of the other, left-wing mouthpieces. But on the financial network that I watch, the couple of networks that I do watch and read, that's all they've talked about for 7 whole months. Now, they just had these debates last night in Oregon, New York State, and in Pennsylvania. And the Democrats who are in office at the moment, the governors and the senators and so forth that are running, got crushed in the debates. I mean, just got crushed. I think one headline was, let me read you one headline. It was just amazing. Some of the headlines were just incredible this morning. Matter of fact, the guy running for Senate in Pennsylvania, the headline was Dr. Oz, odds of winning the Pennsylvania soar after historic Fetterman debate meltdown. The guy couldn't even speak. He couldn't speak. They had to use a what do they call that? Where he reads a teleprompter, and he would just kind of say yes or no. That's it. He wasn't able to even speak of the subjects. He couldn't even discuss things. In the New York State one, the governor said there was basically no crime. Why do you keep on focusing on crime when the crime is up 55%? Murders in Manhattan are up 55%. And so it goes on and on. So we saw and the Oregon debate, the money bet makers now are betting that the woman who's running as the Republican is going to win for the first time in 50 years in Oregon. And so what are we seeing this morning? We're seeing the dollar top out. We're seeing that the euro breaking through the century mark on the upside. And so, as I've said over and over again, I keep on thinking that this is the time period where when it finally becomes clear that the election is going to fall the way that everybody's been asking for it to fall, is becoming very clear that it's going to fall that way. In other words, they're going to get rid of this insanity. Can you imagine? 10 trillion, not billion, not million, 10 trillion on the books and off the books by Biden. Matter of fact, the Congress people who are running for office say they don't even know where all that money is. They're trying to figure out where it went. They're going to look for every dime. They're going to chase after every dime of it, and they're going to stop it because they're the ones that write the checks. So, I mean, talk about for how many years we've talked about the idea of the euro going, going to par. Euro going to par. Euro going to par. When's it going to go to par? Well, it took a criminal organization having control of the U.S. government for 2 years. The dollar goes through the roof. The euro breaks par. And now it looks like it's going to try to start turning back up. We're seeing the dollar index start to turn down. And we will see how this all plays out. But believe me, things are going to change. This has been insane what we've been living through here in the States. Just pure insanity. So, all right, from there, let's see, where do we go from there? Let's see, let's do this. Let's get rid of that. There we go. All right, from there we jump over to the cable. Biden did something really strange yesterday. I guess they had some type of party in the White House, and Biden got the Prime Minister of England's name wrong, and then made a joke about him at the same time. Ugh. I mean, they can't control this guy when he's out and about. He makes no sense most of the time. See the cable there up to the 115 area. And the bigger question is, are they just selling dollars now? That's what it really comes down to. And let's put the cable up on the Chicago Quant. You can see that there. We went into a daily buy yesterday. Again, this thing is doing the same thing. It is ripping, just ripping through the buy number there. Just zoom. That they realize now that the interest rates are going to start to back off in the States because the adults are going to be back in charge of Washington, D.C. We've had children running the place off and on for decades. And those children have been called Democrats, but now they call themselves something else. I don't know what they call themselves at this point. Progressives? I think that's what it is, progressives. From the 1880s, 1890s progressive movement. So this is going to be one interesting 14 more days. Robin said to me earlier yesterday, or later in the afternoon yesterday, it was like, oh, next week this should be over with. It's like, no, it's going to be over with after the 9th. This goes on till the 9th at this point. So that's where the markets are at this point, and we're starting to see that movement, and our math is picking that up very cleanly. You can see it over on J4X. The same thing with the cable. The cable's been in a daily buy over there for what 2 or 3 days, 3 days now. Yeah, 3 days it's been trying to be in the buy. 1, 2, maybe, yeah, just about 2 to 3 days it's been trying to be in that upwardly trend. Another sip of my tea there. I like how we got the volatility indication right there. I thought that was really good. Let me just double check this real quick. Cool. So you can see here we got a volatility indication right there. And the next day it gapped up, closed flat to down. Next day we went into a buy. And now we're really starting to take it up. But the weekly itself is really exploding after, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8. Also 10 weeks in a sell. All right, from there we drift over to the Swiss. That's probably going to be, like, to me, in many ways, the Swiss is a lot more interesting. Now, it's broken the century mark back down below. You see on J4X, the pressure's been on for the last 3 days right there. And we look at it over here on Chicago Quant. And you can see it's been in the daily sell for 2 days now. And we got a volatility signal 3 days back. So we're seeing that pressure. Unfortunately, this one is not breaking the weekly. It's just banging against the top of the manifold at the moment. So it's just the daily showing the real weakness at the moment. I think there's a lot more to the story on the Swiss side of it compared to the rest of them. It's not a safe haven to run to at the moment. Not the country itself, just I think it's the Credit Swiss situation. I was telling you about the analyst. I was telling you about the analyst about. Smart. I was telling you about how the analysts were saying they wanted to. They didn't understand why the stock was trading around $4, under $5 a share, and because it used to have a value of about 30 billion, and now they're saying it's more like around 5 billion. So allegedly, there's a margin call. That's what they say. There's a margin call going into 23 towards 24 towards the end of next year, and they don't have the money. And I'd imagine there's been some pressure from that money leaving. We think we saw, we saw a couple weeks ago, we saw, what was it? We saw the silver gold spread shift dramatically over like a week or so. And we thought that might have been a liquidation. That would make sense. I mean, you always hear the stories about Swiss gold and so forth. So that could have been part of it. It seemed to disrupt the trend that was starting to develop on the upside. But notice when we get over to that, we'll take a look at it. But gold, when we go to the South African Rand, we'll take a quick look at gold, and then we can go into the metals complex. But right now, the South African, the gold is through the weekly. Monday, more data came in from the black pools and pushed the product up. The exchange added more volume and open interest and everything else, and it just shifted it. By Monday evening, we were in a weekly buy. So I think it's been showing that. Let's go over to, where do we go from there? Let's go to the Turkish lira. This has been the weirdest thing that we've seen so far out of the, as much as I want to call it the outlaws that have been running Washington, D.C., at the same time, the Turkish lira has been like really all over the place. Let's see, there's the euro Turkish lira. Where's the dollar Turkish lira? Where's the dollar Turkish lira? I'm sure we've looked at it. Let's try putting it in there. So it'll be USD TRY. That didn't work. Let's try this one again. Let's see. Backspace. USD TRY. There we go. I hit enter. There we go. And look at those swings in the Turkish lira. I mean, it's all over the place. And then when we go over to Chicago Quant, it's even more accentuated because we're not looking at hinky ashkies. We're looking directly at the bars themselves. And there it is right there. It's become the cockroach hotel. I'm so sad to see this happen to it. It was one thing for it to go from $1, or $1 to 19, I guess it is, something like that. And then from €1 to 21 euros, that was like, wow, that was sad. Let me just. So, I just had to answer that text there. So what we got is, we have the Turkish lira just showing these incredible swings, like you see it here, right there, and you see them there. I mean, it means that there's a illiquidity going on. That's what it's telling us. That's what those swings mean. And when you look at it on J4X here, you see the same thing. You see enormous swings from 1870 basically all the way down to 1830. It's like they're just, and this is like this is an averaging of an open, high, low, and close twice. So add them together, and then multiply them by 2. No, I'm sorry, they divide it by 2. So, in other words, if they didn't divide that by 2, it'd be like all over the place. But look at the width of these sometimes. There's one right there. Let's see. Got all the way up to, I don't know what that is. What is that? That's like 19. And the same day it was down at the 18 and 30. Now you multiply, that's being divided by 2, so it shrinks the number, it doesn't expand the number. Let's see, what else can we say about that? But that's the odd, obvious thing going on. Now, we always made jokes for the last 6 months about the dollar, because the dollar is, you can see it here. It's been in a weekly buy now for 38 weeks, and we're always saying, this thing's more like an index than it is than a currency pair. But then when you go over to the euro Turkish lira, which was so much better to trade, it was a much better product. You can see that it's going into the same situation. It's gotten to that point now where the product itself is swinging wild. And let's put it up on J4. Actually, you'll see those same odd little swings going on. Where is it at? Right. I did see it. Right there. There it is. Euro Turkish lira. So you can see this is, these things are divided by 2, so they've shrunk them down. That's the best part. Now, from there, let me just respond to this one here. I gotta just respond real quick on that. Where's that mouse at? There it is. All right. From there, what do we do now? I just answered that question. Someone asked me something on a text. Let's see. Let's go to. Usually we go to the Canadian. Go to the South African rand instead, because I want to look at gold. So let's go to the South African rand. That's USD. Is it right there? There it is. USD ZAR. There it is. And you can see it's making a move down, which means obviously gold is going up in value. Now let's go find gold. We'll put that up on Chicago Quant. And there it is right there. You can see gold is up and in a daily buy for a couple of days. And now you can see the weekly. That's all the data came in on the close of Monday that filled in last week. These black pools don't exactly reflect all the time what's the open interest. We see open interest instead of expanding in 1 day. Sometimes it's 2 days, it's 3 days later. All of a sudden your open interest 3 days back expand dramatically. It's because the black pools are allowed to make trades. And then it's illegal, of course, but they're allowed to make trades, and the Commodities Futures Trading Commission allows it to happen. They don't, they're trying to remember. Ever since the CDO, the collateralized debt obligation crash, that crashed the world economy and bankrupt, Lloyd's of London and RBC and Citi and Deutsche Bank and dozens of others. Lehman and so forth, and Wachovia and Bear Stearns and Merrill Lynch, and I can go on and on and on. They basically went bankrupt, all of them, and so they got absorbed by other banks or brokerage houses, or in the case of Lehman, they let Lehman actually go bankrupt, and boy, that was a disaster, which instigated the QE forever. And so when you look at the gold market here. Sometimes the open interest and the volume is hidden for a couple days because they allow them, because the volume, after the CDO crash and the world economy, the world financial system crash in 2008, volume dried up by 75%, and they couldn't have that. So they had to accommodate funds to be able to hide their trades because they're that incompetent to begin with. That's the best way I describe it. Incompetent. The CFTC is incompetent, and the fund managers are pretty much incompetent. And they're still got their jobs, but they lost all that money. Isn't that wonderful? Lose money and get more for free. All right, and you can see here, gold is trying to lift. It was up higher this morning. You see that right there. Gold got up to 79 today. We're trading now at 68, so it's about $11 lower, but still higher on the day by $10. So it was up almost $20. And again, that's that thing, you know, the dollar's being sold down, gold is going to go up. And the South African Rand is going to do the same thing. And let's go over to see the Mr. and Mrs. South African Rand. And there is the South African Rand on Chicano Quant right there. You see that there. So then you go over to, let's see, where's it? Right there. South African Rand. Let's put gold in there now. Gold. Where are you? XAU. I know. There it is, right there. Okay. And you see gold, you know, trying to lift up. You see the strength in it right there. You know, they're having that same upside pressure. It doesn't seem like anything wants to let go in the sense of, this time, maybe this is the bottom. We keep on thinking that there's going to be a bottom here because we think interest rates are going to just stall out. I can't imagine anything less. You know, I just always think that that's the way it's going to play. And sooner or later, it's going to happen. It's going to stall out, and that's what I think is going on now. The dollar is going to start to pull back because interest rates are going to go down. And maybe some of these other countries are going to keep their interest rates right where they're at, because this way they can get money to come into them, and the administration here has been sucking money from the whole planet, starving everybody. You know, there's not a lot of dollars running around right now. All right, from there we jump over to, where do we go from here? We go to the Canadian, and we'll look at oil. So there is CAD. There's CAD right there. You see CAD's been rolling over, which means normally that oil would be going up in value, but oil's been kind of anemic. It's been, last I saw it was going down again. There's the spot month. Yeah, see, it's sideways. It's not going down. You know, you would think that it would look like this, you know, that pattern right there, but we're not getting that. We're just getting sideways. Matter of fact, it's going up in value. Oh, wait a minute, that's right. As it goes, that's what it is. As it goes, as oil goes up, yeah, as oil goes up in price, the Canadian goes down. That's what it is. And so, you know, because it becomes more valuable against the dollar. And so now, okay, that makes sense. Now, the last 4 days, you can see it's been just stuck, or 5 days, closed there, very close. But same time, this is crude oil. It's been holding, I guess you could say, the 85, 84 area, 83, something like that, 83, 84, and closed at, what's that, 85.14, then it closed at 84.59, then yesterday it closed at 85.34, and now today it's trading at 86. So I guess the Canadian is definitely picking up on that. Let's put Canadian up on the on Chicago Quant there. And there's the CAD. And you can see it's been drifting down. You know, 5 days ago it was at 37.65, and then it was at 36.43, and then it bounced back up again, and then back down again, and now it's making another new low. So it is kind of following the trend of the oil market. We are seeing that. We are seeing that trend still hold. Just like you see gold, when gold goes down, the South African Rand goes up, and then vice versa. So then from there, we drift over to the yen. And there's the yen. Now the notice the yen had that big topping out. There was rumors, it got up into the 50s last week, and there were rumors that the Fed came in and did something about it. And so you can see it's trying to stay down, not doing the best of jobs, but it is, that was the slam. There was rumors that the Fed did that trade right there. And then you can see, I guess Bank of Japan just could not stop the bleeding, I guess you could say. So then what happened was from there, you have the, it's just sideways, and it's trying. You can see it's still in that weekly buy for what, 2, 4, 6, 8, and this is the 10th week in a buy. Now, you can see the green line trying to get to the manifold on the plus side, but it's still above it. So, I mean, as much as they're trying to sell it down at the moment, it's not happening. And we can see this curve starting to occur there. Let's take a look at that on J4X. Right there. And it's got the red just like us. We got that volatility signal right there. And, it dipped like that too. And I guess we're getting close to a bottom in there. You can see that type of thing. I don't know what they're going to do with the Japanese yen. I guess it's, and think about this. We've talked about this. It's the yen and the Swiss both are reflecting the same issues. For one, so for one, you have the Swiss and the yen kind of walking in the same direction constantly. They're having their issues. One is Bank of Swiss, the private commercial bank, and I don't know what, we always make a joke over here in the States about Japan. We call it Japanese Inc. because it seems like every company is owned by a subsidiary of a major. Like there's very few. I guess like the Topex index is kind of like the real strength or the real list of stocks. And then what happens, you get then you have, I guess, subsidiaries of those corporations, and they're traded. So it's kind of like I'm not even sure how to describe that. It's all downstream. We refer to it as downstreaming. So in other words, you own a major company, and then you buy the subsidiary underneath, or the one that was buying from you. And then it goes, it keeps on playing that game, It's like a combination of it over and over again. So, let me think. I guess that's the only way to really describe it. And so we've been, kind of confused. These last couple months, we see action in two countries that we normally think of as being solid. In other words, not upside down in the sense of having problems, economically. I mean, we know Japan is deep in debt, not as deep as China, but we know it's in deep in debt, like Greece and so forth. But they at least have a few $1 trillion moving in and out of the country all the time. They have reserves. Like China has like $3 trillion in reserves. One of them is sitting here in the United States. They keep it, protected here. And then, and I guess they must have it distributed, another $1 trillion probably sitting in China. And I imagine it's in gold or something like that. Something more guaranteed than their own. Let's put it this way: I would doubt that their monies are sitting in anything at risk. In other words, it's going to be sitting in dollars, in bonds, U.S. bonds. It's probably going to be sitting in gold, and it's probably sitting in oil. In other words, they're not going to. One thing for sure, the communists are not going to let that money slip out of their fingers. That's for sure. In other words, they won't buy their own government bonds. They won't buy their currency. They can't do that because there won't be anybody to sell it to when they need to, since they only trade about 2+% a day. So it's so illiquid that $1 trillion would blow that thing up. It wouldn't have the ability to deal with that. So I try to always remind people that. People always want to tell me how things are supposedly. Matter of fact, did you know that they had something called the Red Dragon Index over in China, and it took a major collapse. It lost something crazy like 150 some odd $billion. The index has. It's at 14-year lows, and it's so you don't hear much talked about it. I should have talked about that on Monday, but I did. What I did is I talked about the crash in Hong Kong. And I did mention the index, but the Hong Kong index took a major slam also. So they're not going to park their money in things like that. They'll talk it, they'll talk about it, and how brilliant this or that. But in the end result is that they're not going to. They won't. How many years? It's been over a decade now almost that they keep on talking about putting their currency linked to gold and oil. But has it happened? No. Is it going to happen? No. Do they want it to happen? No. Then why do they talk about it? Because people have no confidence in a currency that only trades 2% a day. In other words, the dollar trades like 60% a day or 55% a day. The euro trades something like 30 some odd percent of it. Of the all currency traded during the day is euros. And something like 20 something odd percent is Japanese yen every day. And British pounds is like 15% of all currency traded is British pounds. But only 2%, it's like 2.5% of Chinese currency is traded every day. So how can they be the second largest economy in the world if they can't, if no one wants their currency? It's like, you got, it's got to trade. If it was trading at 30% a day, I could say, wow, yeah, they're getting close to becoming, a very major power, economically. But it doesn't, though. That's the problem. Anyhow, I think I got my point across there. All right, I don't need to play. Science Theater 3000 to get my point across of the craziness of it all. All right, let's see. From there. Where do we zip to there? Let's see. That is the yen. So we go to south of our border. We'll take a look at the Mexican peso, and then we'll take a little bit closer look of silver and gold and so forth. Let's finish it off with the Mexican peso. Let's see. USD. MX. There we are. I just heard a ring. Ringy dingy. What garbage news is that? Okay. So now let's jump over to that on Chicago Quant. There it is. We're down at the bottom end of the range. You can see 4 days in a sell right there. Let's put that in there. Where's the green dots? Where'd the green dots go? We'll get that up on there now too. That's a 3. Okay. And that's a 2. Properties, where is it at? Should be there. Let's try this. Put it in there. Okay. Now why don't I see it? Let's try to get those green dots in there again. And you can see last week it closed in a sell too at the same time. Now why are we not seeing the green dots? I'm going to put a second one in there because I don't understand what's going on with the first one. indicator, and let's do this. Close, cancel. Use as default. There we go. Okay. Use that as default. Okay. Now let's add it again. Add. Property. Okay. Oop. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Here's a chair. There we go. Okay, so anyway, there's the Mexican peso. And now the numbers are in there, so now we can see them. All right, so the peso is down at the bottom end of the range. And you can see here we went into the weekly sell right there last week. So they're finally putting pressure on. Let's see, right there, right there, right there, right there. There we go. As you can see, the peso is moving down. You can see it flatlined on J4X at the same time. Where's it at? Right there. We'll just make it the whole screen for a second. You can see that right there. It's been flatlined at the bottom end of the range now for a couple of years. It's, I guess you could say at the same time, we're looking at the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen that had been enormously stable, and one of the last of the great stables, which is very hard to believe of a currency pair, is the Mexican peso. The Mexican peso is very solid. And so you can see that the peso is now at the bottom end of its range. Again, more than likely, a little surprising in the sense that they finally went into the weekly sell. Let's see how long that lasts. But this must be part of that translation of interest rates. So this long wait for the political climate, the change here in the States, is obviously coming up right on the edge at this point. And that's why we're seeing the Mexican peso start to back off and start to try to break out of its range, which I don't have much of a doubt. I don't think it's going to do it, but we'll see. Because the peso seems to be very solid. I don't think there's... The change in politics here in the States should have very little effect on the Mexican peso in a negative way. So I would imagine that's why you're seeing less pesos to the dollar. They're thinking that that things could be better for them, not worse. Remember, as the peso goes down, it's gaining against the dollar. And so that's how that usually works. All right, from there, we're done the currencies. We're getting towards the end of the webinar. But let's go over to the metals complex, and we'll check that out. Let's see if we can find it there. There we are. We're just going to close that out. And that's done. Let's put that away. And that's gone. So then from there, where's it at? That's the yen. No, that's not the yen. That is, what is that? That's the stock. That's the S&P 500. So let's check out. There is silver right there. You see silver's doing the same thing. It had a nice move up this morning up to as high as 1976. And now it's trading at 1940. So it's down about 34 cents from the highs, but still up on the day of, what, about 6 cents, something like that. Gold, let's go back to the gold. We looked at that earlier when we were looking at the South African Rand. And gold was up $10 then. Now it's only up $8.50. It's backing off a little bit more. Still think the same story is for real. And the end result is that the metals market is going to probably have more firmness to it. Even when we saw that crazy article this morning about the idea that 50% of the metals sitting in the vaults at the exchange are not eligible. Not eligible. Only in a criminal situation like that could that even be said. But that's the way it goes in these times. This whole country is upside down from a couple of people running the place very strangely. Mr. Biden is obviously out there, and it fits right with the rest of it. It's not like we haven't seen this. This has been going on since 2008. You know, we've seen where at one time at the exchange, for every ounce of gold traded, there was an ounce in the vault almost. It was just very close. In other words, if you traded, say, 1,000 ounces, there was like 992 ounces. It was almost perfectly 1-to-1. Everybody used it as an indicator. Now it's the other way around. For every 1,000 ounces traded at the actually it's unfortunate, it's even higher now. For every 3,000 ounces traded on the exchange floor, there might be 1 ounce of gold sitting in the vault. That's the insanity of it all. And it's criminal. I don't think it's anything less but criminal because it's against the law. But anyhow, that's me. Go figure. All right. From there, let's put some of these up on the J4X. Let's get the gold up there again. And we're going to get out of here. Where are you? There's the gold again. Yep. You can see it's slowly drifting back down again. It's halfway down below its highs now of the day, even more. You see the green line right there trying to curve. It's kind of getting toppy out. And I think I'm done. So this is Doc from North America. Catch you guys all tomorrow. Same time, same channel. It'll be, Thursday. Today's Happy Hump Day. So happy trails to you until we meet again Thursday. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, later, traders. Arrivederci.